Hi friends, this is an addendum to a video I did about this book called Growing Up Again. And in that I went through an example on what's called a structure chart and on a nurture chart. And I wanted to point out a couple of other things that are coming up on this chart. So I read in the last video from this row. Across all 6 lanes, I read from this row, which is the example, okay? What I wanted to explain is the rest of the way that the tool is broken out. So you can see there are 3, 4, 5 different rows. So I read the example. In the case of structure, the example was about alcohol use in a 13-year-old. And in the case of nurture, the example was about a badly scraped arm. And nurturing across those 6 different domains. So the other part so the way that the chart, I just love a visual tool like this because it succinctly carries a lot of useful information. Again, the rest of the book, and it's a pretty significant book. The rest of the book, it goes into the theory behind it, the work behind it, and then worksheet, lots and lots of things to try to do to adjust your mindset around those things and to reparent yourself. But the other items on the worksheet, so it begins with characteristics. So it describes each of those 6 lanes across structure and across nurture with a characteristic of what that is. And then it has the example, which is the one I just read to you. And then what children may hear from the underlying message. So going back, if you haven't watched that, I do recommend go back, find the other video and watch it. So in the example of a 13-year-old drank alcohol and the, let's say, abandonment side. So the really no structure, like there's no structure, you're in the ditch on structure. What does a child hear from, what is the underlying message that's coming through to the kiddo? When we say something like, I don't want to talk about it, the parent isn't available physically or emotionally, they ignore or tease the child, what message is the kiddo picking up? The message is, I'm not willing to care for you, I don't want you, your needs are not important, mine are, no one is here for you, you don't exist. So it doesn't just say like, say this versus don't say this, it's getting at what is the underlying message that comes across if you are parenting from that lane on structure or nurture. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so it goes characteristics, it goes through the example, which I read to you, and then what is the underlying message that the kiddo is hearing, and then what is the common response of children, which is so interesting because when people take their kiddo to therapy, they're really looking for like, fix it, right? Like, can you fix what's wrong with my child? And I understand the impulse of that. Like, I'm parenting 3 children, so I understand. I understand that for sure. Like, I would love for somebody to help. Beyond, my partner who helps me. Let's see. So, what is the common response? Let's say we stick with that idea of the very lack of all structure whatsoever, which is labeled abandonment in this structure chart. The common response of the child is to feel scared, terrified, hurt, angry, or rageful, rejected, discounted, baffled, unimportant, upset, and perhaps suicidal. I have never, ever, ever in my life met a parent who wanted those outcomes for their kids. Like, that's not the heart of a parent. So I just want to come at empathy that sometimes we're parenting on that sort of ditch side of things, the abandonment side of things, or the high rigidity, like wherever you find yourself, either in the shoulder or in the ditch. Reading the common response of children on the ditch ones especially, I just think it's like really sad stuff. It's a sad thing to reflect on your own experience having been raised, if you were raised with, with rigidity or with abandonment on structure. You may read those entries and feel extremely triggered by that. Really see yourself in that. So on the ditch side, for rigidity, which is maybe we could just call that too much structure, like way too much, like abusive level structure. The common response of the child in that one is to feel oppressed, distanced, angry, or rageful, scared, hopeless, imperfect, discounted, mistrusted, abandoned, no good, or powerless. I don't know of any parent who wants their child to have that experience ever, ever, ever. When I read the common responses of children for negotiable rules, which is one of the healthy ones, the child feels respected, feels cared for, feels listened to, powerful, important, loved, intelligent, safe, and sometimes frustrated. Yeah, we can handle some frustration. Learns to evaluate rules and participate in the making of rules, as well as to follow rules and be responsible. Parents do want that. We definitely want that for our kids. Of course we do, right? So I also really value this row. To try to, it's sort of the why, like, why should I bother? I'm just like trying to get these kids raised up. Most people are in it for more than just like, get them to 18 and then I've done my job. Like, you're wanting to develop a healthy individual as part of your labor as a parent. And then the final row has to do with the decision making. So we want to be empowering our kiddos to make better and better decisions for themselves, because we're not always going to be in the place of providing that structure and nurture. They're going to be out on their own and interacting with their friends and being in relationship and being a parent themselves. Maybe we want to have instilled in them the right kinds of ingredients so that they go about their decision making in ways that really empower them and fulfill them. So that's what that last row in the book is about, how it affects their decision making. Again, the book isn't just a parenting book, because it's reparenting yourself is one way to use the book, or to prepare or use as a strategy for parenting your kiddos. Again, with a heavy focus on structure and nurture. So hope you found that helpful. I'll see you on the next one.